The 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny is one of the most fascinating and collectible coins in American history, a small copper coin that has captured the hearts of collectors and treasure hunters for decades. Imagine holding a piece of history that could be worth up to $54,000 today. That's the kind of story the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny tells. In this video, we will explore everything about this coin, from its origin, history, value, errors, and why collectors are willing to pay a fortune for it. So sit back, because this journey into the world of rare coins could change the way you look at the pennies in your pocket forever. Let's begin with a bit of history. The 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny was minted during a very special time in American history, right in the middle of World War II. During the war, copper was in high demand because it was needed for ammunition, shell casings, and other military supplies. In 1943, to save copper for the war effort, the United States Mint made pennies out of zinc-coated steel instead of copper. These coins were shiny and silver-like in appearance, and they looked quite different from the traditional brownish-red copper pennies. However, in 1944, the Mint decided to go back to copper because people complained that the steel pennies rusted easily and were often mistaken for dimes. So, in 1944, the U.S. Mint used recycled shell casings from the war to produce new copper pennies. These shell casings were melted down and turned into coin blanks. That's why the 1944 pennies are often referred to as shell case cents. The composition of these coins was about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gave them the familiar reddish-brown appearance. Now, the 1944 penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. This means that it does not have a small letter under the date on the front of the coin. If you look at your 1944 penny and see no mint mark below the year, that means it came from Philadelphia. Coins with a D or S mark came from Denver or San Francisco, respectively. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.4 billion of these 1944 no mint mark pennies, making it one of the most common wheat pennies ever produced. But even though it was common, not every 1944 penny is ordinary. Some of them have rare errors or unique qualities that make them extremely valuable today. The most famous and valuable 1944 pennies are the ones made by mistake from leftover steel planchets from the previous year. A few 1943 steel blanks accidentally got stuck in the minting machines and were used in 1944 when the production switched back to copper. As a result, a small number of 1944 steel pennies were created, and these are among the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. One of them sold for over $375,000 at auction. But even regular 1944 copper pennies can fetch impressive prices if they're in exceptional condition or have unique errors. When it comes to the 1944 no mint mark wheat penny, condition plays a massive role in determining its value. A circulated penny, meaning one that has been used in everyday transactions and shows signs of wear, might only be worth a few cents or a few dollars. However, if the coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and still retains its original mint luster, the value can skyrocket. Coins graded as mint state, especially those above MS-65, can be worth thousands of dollars. Collectors also look for coins with full red color, meaning they have maintained their original copper shine without turning brown over time. The more red and lustrous the coin appears, the higher its value. Some 1944 no-mint mark pennies in pristine red condition have sold for over $50,000 because they are so rare in that state. Let's talk about the errors that make some of these coins even more valuable. One common type of valuable error is the double die error, where the design appears to be stamped twice, creating a doubled image on the lettering, numbers, or Lincoln's face. These errors happen when the die, the tool that strikes the design onto the coin, shifts slightly between strikes. A 1944 double-die penny can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how strong and noticeable the doubling is. Another valuable error is the off-center strike, where the design is not properly aligned and part of the image is missing from the edge of the coin. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the penny becomes, especially if the date is still visible. Some 1944 pennies with this kind of error have been sold for several $1,000s. There's also the repunched mint mark error, although this one applies more to the Denver and San Francisco versions. But sometimes, even the no-mint mark coins can have die cracks, die breaks, or lamination errors, all of which make them more desirable to collectors. Now, let's explore what makes the 1944 no-mint mark penny so special beyond its metal content and errors. The Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, is one of the most beloved coin series in the United States. These coins feature the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the front, and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse side, symbolizing prosperity and growth. Because the 1944 penny was made right after the steel penny year, it became a symbol of America's return to normalcy after the hardships of war. Many people who grew up during the 1940s remember using these coins every day, which makes them nostalgic and sentimental collector's items today. For some collectors, finding a perfect 1944 penny feels like holding a piece of living history, a small link to the sacrifices and triumphs of World War II America. Let's talk about how you can identify whether your 1944 penny might be worth a fortune. The first thing to check is whether it is made of copper or steel. Copper pennies from 1944 will stick to a magnet, while the rare steel ones will not. If your 1944 penny sticks to a magnet, that's normal. If it doesn't, you might have one of the extremely rare steel versions. The second thing to check is the coin's condition. Look for scratches, discoloration, and signs of wear. If it looks shiny, with clear details on Lincoln's face and hair and crisp lettering, you might have a high-grade coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Third, look closely for any doubling on the date or letters. You can use a magnifying glass to check for small details like a doubled 4 in the date or a slightly blurry Liberty. These signs could indicate a double die error, which makes the coin far more valuable. Now, let's talk about current market trends. As of today, the 1944 no-mint mark Wheat Penny in the highest mint state grades can sell for up to $54,000 or even more at major auctions. Prices can vary depending on collector demand, grading certification, and rarity. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC tend to fetch the highest prices because buyers trust their authenticity and condition grading. In recent years, coin collecting has become more popular than ever, with more people turning to their old jars of change in search of hidden treasures. Videos, social media, and online auctions have helped spread the excitement of finding valuable coins like the 1944 penny. This surge in interest has driven up the demand and value of rare coins across the market. Many collectors are now realizing that these small pieces of metal are not just coins but also historical artifacts that tell the story of America's past. Each one has its own story, from the recycled wartime materials used to make it, to the hands it passed through during decades of circulation. That's why owning a 1944 no-mint mark penny isn't just about money. It's about owning a tangible piece of history. If you want to start checking your coins at home, start by separating your wheat pennies from regular modern ones. Look for the 1944 date, then inspect it carefully under good lighting. Even if your coin isn't worth tens of thousands, it could still hold a small premium value, especially if it's in nice shape. Many collectors buy common date wheat pennies for a few dollars each to fill their albums, so there's always a market for them. For the lucky few who find an extraordinary specimen, like a near-perfect red uncirculated 1944 no-mint mark penny or one with a rare minting error, the reward can be life-changing. Imagine turning an old coin found in a jar into $54,000 or more. It has happened before, and it could happen again. The key is knowledge. Understanding what to look for, learning how to grade coins, and knowing where to sell them are crucial steps in coin collecting. Always consider getting your coins appraised by a reputable dealer or sent to a grading company if you suspect they might be rare. As you go through your old coins, don't overlook the humble 1944 penny. The 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those rare and fascinating coins that continues to grab the attention of collectors and coin enthusiasts around the world. Even though millions of Lincoln pennies were minted in the year 1946, very few of them have managed to reach the level of rarity, quality, and historical importance that could make them worth tens of thousands of dollars today. In fact, One particular 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny has been valued at an astounding $760,000, making it one of the most valuable post-war pennies in existence. To understand why this coin holds such a high market value, let's go back in time to explore its history. The year was 1946, just after the end of World War II. America was rebuilding, and the U.S. Mint was returning to the production of regular coinage after years of wartime restrictions. During the war, pennies had been made from steel coated with zinc in 1943 due to copper shortages. But by 1944, the Mint returned to using its traditional bronze alloy, mostly copper with a small percentage of tin and zinc. So, in 1946, the Mint was producing Lincoln wheat pennies made of this familiar bronze composition. Most of these 1946 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which means they do not carry a mint mark. The Denver Mint used the D mark, and the San Francisco Mint used an S. The Philadelphia coins, being without any mint mark, were the most common, yet only a small number of them came out with unique qualities that would later make them valuable collector's items. At first glance, the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny looks ordinary. On the obverse side, you can see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty on his left and the date 1946 on his right. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." On the reverse side, the coin features two wheat stalks bordering the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the phrase E pluribus unum written along the top. However, what makes some of these 1946 no-mint mark wheat pennies so valuable lies in a combination of factors: rarity, condition, minting errors, and collector demand. Most of the coins produced that year were circulated heavily, meaning they show significant wear and tear. But a few of them were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, showing sharp details, rich luster, and no scratches or blemishes. These high-grade examples are the ones that can reach incredible values at auctions. When you look at the most valuable 1946 no-mint mark wheat pennies, one of the biggest contributing factors is their condition grading. Coins that have been professionally graded as mint state 67 or higher are extremely rare. The higher the grade, the higher the value, especially when the coin retains its original red or red-brown color tone. A fully red 1946 wheat penny in mint state condition can command thousands of dollars easily, and one in perfect, nearly flawless state can reach hundreds of thousands. In addition to condition, there are also rare error varieties that can make a 1946 no-mint mark penny worth far more than face value. Some coins were struck on the wrong metal planchets, while others exhibit double die errors or off-center strikes. For example, a double die obverse variety can show doubling in Lincoln's eye, the word Liberty, or the date 1946. These doubling effects happen when the die that strikes the coin imprints the design twice in slightly different positions. Collectors pay a huge premium for such unique errors. Another rare variation that has shown up among 1946 wheat pennies is the transitional planchet error. In rare cases, some 1946 pennies were struck on leftover planchets from earlier years, possibly even using leftover steel blanks from 1943. These transitional errors are exceptionally rare and can bring in astronomical prices at auctions. The combination of historical context, minting variations, and collector enthusiasm has turned the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny into a true treasure for those lucky enough to find one in top condition. Over the years, auction records have demonstrated just how valuable these coins can become. In 2024, one of the finest known examples of a 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny graded MS-68 red sold for an incredible $760,000, setting a record and astonishing the numismatic world. Why would someone pay that much for a 1-cent coin? The answer lies in the rarity and perfection of that particular specimen. Imagine holding a coin that was minted nearly 8 decades ago, yet it looks like it was just struck yesterday, bright, brilliant, and flawless under magnification. For serious coin collectors, that level of preservation and quality represents the ultimate prize. It's not just about the coin's metal content, it's about history, artistry, and the story it tells. Now, let's discuss what you should look for if you happen to have a 1946 penny in your possession. The first thing is to check whether it has a mint mark. If there's no D or S below the date, then it's from the Philadelphia Mint. Next, examine its condition under good lighting. Does it have clear details, sharp edges, and original luster? Or does it show wear and discoloration? Even circulated coins can have value if they show unique features or errors. If you suspect your 1946 penny is in exceptional condition, you may want to have it graded by a professional service such as PCGS or NGC. A graded coin comes with a certification label showing its authenticity and grade, which dramatically increases its market value. Uncertified coins may be valuable, but certified ones often sell for higher prices because buyers trust the grading standards. Another tip for collectors is to check for any visible doubling on the obverse. Look closely at Lincoln's eye, the word trust, or the numbers in the date. Even slight doubling can significantly raise the coin's value. Additionally, always weigh the coin if you can. A standard 1946 bronze penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your coin's weight is noticeably lighter or heavier, that could indicate a minting error, such as being struck on a foreign or leftover planchet. It's also important to look at the coin's color. Collectors categorize Lincoln cents by color designations: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. A red designation means the coin has retained nearly all of its original copper color, while red-brown coins show partial toning. Fully red coins in pristine condition are the rarest and most valuable, while brown ones, although still collectible, generally command lower prices. Over time, many people have found these pennies in coin jars, old drawers, or inherited collections without realizing their potential worth. Imagine going through a box of old coins and discovering a shiny 1946 penny that could be worth thousands, or possibly even hundreds of thousands. It's the kind of story that makes coin collecting exciting and rewarding. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, has always been a favorite among collectors because of its beautiful design and connection to American history. Abraham Lincoln was the first U.S. president to appear on a circulating coin, and his image has remained on the penny for over a century. The wheat reverse design, created by Victor David Brenner, symbolizes prosperity and agriculture, two pillars of the American identity. The 1946 no-mint mark penny serves as a link between the early wheat cents of the pre-war era and the later post-war coins that led up to the memorial reverse introduced in 1959. Its significance goes beyond its face value. It's a reflection of America's resilience during a time of recovery and hope. For collectors today, owning a high-grade 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny is like holding a piece of that history. It represents craftsmanship, precision, and a reminder of how even the smallest things can hold great value. As coin grading technology improves and collector interest grows, the market for these rare coins continues to climb. So, if you have a 1946 penny, take a moment to study it carefully. You never know what kind of treasure you might be holding. Whether it's a beautifully preserved uncirculated coin or one with a rare error, your penny could be far more valuable than you imagine. Some people have sold these coins at major auctions for prices that could buy a luxury car, a house, or even fund retirement. And remember, even if your coin isn't one of the six-figure examples, every piece of history has its own story and value. Each coin that survived through decades of circulation tells a tale of countless hands it passed through, of economic changes, and of the enduring legacy of Lincoln himself. Collectors often say that rare coins are time capsules of history. The 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny perfectly fits that description. It carries the legacy of the post-war years, the skill of mint engravers, and the enduring fascination with America's smallest denomination that continues to inspire people to this day. ChatGPT said, "The 1948 no-mint mark wheat penny is one of those hidden treasures that most people overlook, yet it holds a fascinating story in American coinage. Many collectors dream of finding this rare coin in their pocket change or old family collections." In today's video, we're diving deep into everything you need to know about the 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny, how to identify it, why it's so valuable, and what makes some of these coins worth as much as $890,000 in the collector's market today. The 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark at that time. If you look closely under the date, and you don't see a mint mark, that means your penny was made in Philadelphia. More than 317 million of these pennies were minted, which sounds like a lot, but the real value lies not in the number produced, but in the condition, rarity, and unique errors that some of these coins carry. Collectors around the world constantly search for high-grade versions of this penny, especially those in mint-state red condition, which can reach staggering prices at auction. The design of the 1948 Wheat Penny features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse showcases two wheat stalks, symbolizing prosperity and unity, with the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that is the classic motto, E pluribus unum. Even though this design was common in circulation from 1909 to 1958, certain years, like 1948, have unique characteristics that make them stand out among collectors. Now, let's talk about the metal composition. The 1948 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Because of its copper content, it's prone to oxidation, meaning that over time, many of these coins have turned brown or dark red. However, the brightest, uncirculated red coins, those that have maintained their original luster, are the most valuable today. The difference between a brown penny worth a few cents and a red gem that sells for thousands is truly incredible. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1948 no-mint mark wheat penny is the condition grading scale used by collectors. Coins are graded from poor P1 to mint state MS70. A coin that has been in circulation for decades might only grade between VG8 and F12, meaning it shows considerable wear. These coins might only be worth a few cents to a couple of dollars. But coins that have never been used in everyday transactions and have been kept in pristine condition can command massive premiums. At the highest end of the scale, you'll find examples graded MS67 and MS68 by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC. These coins exhibit sharp details, full luster, and virtually no scratches or marks. Such coins are so rare because very few 1948 pennies survived without wear. Most were used heavily after World War II, during a time when the U.S. economy was booming and coins circulated constantly. A perfect example of this coin's potential value is seen in auctions. High-quality 1948 no-mint mark wheat pennies have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and in some exceptional cases, over $89,000 depending on condition, luster, and market demand. Collectors will pay enormous sums for these coins because they represent a perfect blend of historical significance and numismatic rarity. But why would someone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in a few key factors: rarity, condition, errors, and collector demand. Over the decades, many 1948 pennies were damaged, melted, or lost. Finding a flawless example today is nearly impossible. Additionally, certain error varieties make this coin even more valuable. For example, there are known 1948 wheat pennies with double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks on Denver and San Francisco issues. Even though the Philadelphia version has no mint mark, it can still exhibit striking errors that greatly increase its value. If you ever come across a 1948 penny, you'll want to examine it closely under good lighting and possibly with a magnifying glass. Look for any signs of doubling on the date. The words Liberty or In God We Trust. Doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, imprinting a doubled image. These kinds of errors are extremely collectible, as they showcase the imperfections of old minting techniques. Next, you'll want to pay attention to the coin's overall condition. If it's bright red with clear details and no scratches or corrosion, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But if it's dull, worn, or discolored, its value will drop significantly. Storing pennies properly in protective holders or capsules helps maintain their luster and prevents oxidation. Let's talk a bit about the history surrounding this coin. In 1948, the United States was entering a new post-war era. The nation was recovering from World War II, and the economy was thriving. The Lincoln cent remained a staple in American commerce. Because of its familiar design and availability, many people didn't think to save them, assuming they would always be common. Little did they know that decades later, collectors would be searching for these same pennies, willing to pay thousands for the right one. Another point of fascination for collectors is the transition in the penny's composition and minting process. During the war years, from 1943 to 1945, steel cents were produced to save copper for ammunition. By 1948, the mint had returned fully to copper, giving the coins a rich red hue. This connection to wartime and post-war production adds to the historical significance of the 1948 issue. Over the years, coin grading services have authenticated and certified thousands of these pennies, but the highest grades remain exceptionally scarce. To achieve such grades, the coins must show perfect surfaces, no visible contact marks, and blazing original color. When one of these top-graded coins appears at auction, bidding can become intense. Collectors and investors see them as both historical artifacts and financial assets. It's also interesting to note how coin collecting itself has evolved. In the 1950s and 60s, kids would often collect Lincoln Wheat Pennies from change, placing them in Blue Whitman albums. Today, those same collections can hold hidden gems. If you inherited a collection from a parent or grandparent, it's worth taking a closer look. You might just find a 1948 penny that could change your financial future. The market for Lincoln Wheat Pennies remains strong. They are one of the most beloved series in U.S. coinage, and demand continues to rise for well-preserved examples. The simplicity of the design, combined with the historical significance of Lincoln's image, makes them timeless pieces of Americana. The fact that a 1-cent coin could one day be worth nearly $1 million demonstrates just how powerful rarity and condition can be in numismatics. When evaluating your 1948 penny, pay attention to small details. Check the lettering for clarity, look for full wheat lines on the reverse, and ensure there's minimal wear on Lincoln's hair and cheek. These small details can be the difference between a penny worth a few dollars and one that fetches thousands. You might be wondering how to sell such a valuable coin if you find one. The best approach is to have it professionally graded and authenticated by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Once you know its grade, you can compare recent auction results to estimate its market value. Avoid selling it quickly to local pawn shops, as they often offer far below market value. Instead, consider coin shows, online auctions, or major coin dealers who specialize in Lincoln cents. Beyond its financial worth, the 1948 no-mint mark Wheat Penny represents a piece of American history. Each of these coins passed through the hands of everyday people decades ago, perhaps used to buy candy, newspapers, or postage. To think that a small copper coin used in daily life can become a highly prized collectible is truly remarkable. Collectors are drawn not just by the coin's beauty but by its story. The story of America's resilience, craftsmanship, and evolution. Every scratch, tone, or shine tells part of that history. And when a coin like the 1948 penny appears in near-perfect condition, it's like uncovering a time capsule from another era. The current market value for the 1948 no-mint mark Wheat Penny can vary widely. In average circulated condition, it might be worth anywhere from 5 to 25 cents. In uncirculated condition, that jumps to anywhere between $50 and $500 depending on the grade. But the most pristine, gem-quality examples, graded MS-68 or higher, have fetched prices up to $89,000 and beyond at high-end auctions. Those record-breaking coins represent the very best of what collectors seek: perfection, rarity, and historical importance. So, the next time you come across an old wheat penny, take a closer look before spending it or tossing it aside. You never know what you might have. The 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most talked about coins among collectors, not only for its classic design but also for its incredible value in today's coin market. Imagine holding a simple 1-cent coin that could be worth as much as $73,000. That's right, a penny from 1957, with no mint mark, could be hiding a small fortune right in plain sight. Today, we're going to dive deep into the story, history, and hidden secrets of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, and why some of these rare coins are worth life-changing amounts of money. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you might want to start checking every single penny in your change jar. The 1957 Wheat Penny was part of one of America's most iconic coin series, the Lincoln Wheat Cent, which was produced from 1909 to 1958. These coins are easily recognized by their reverse side design, which features 2 wheat ears on each side of the words 1 cent. This design represented American agriculture and hard work, while the front side of the coin proudly displays Abraham Lincoln's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. The Lincoln Wheat Cent became one of the most beloved coin designs in U.S. history. Now, let's talk about where the 1957 penny fits in. In 1957, the U.S. Mint was still producing wheat pennies in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The ones minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, and those are the ones we're focusing on today. More than 282 million 1957 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which might make you think they're common. But here's the thing, not all 1957 pennies are created equal. Some have rare minting errors, high grades, or unique features that make them worth tens of thousands of dollars to collectors. One of the biggest factors that determine the value of your 1957 no mint mark wheat penny is its condition. The coin grading system, used by experts and collectors, ranges from poor condition to mint state. A well-worn 1957 penny might only be worth its face value, but if it's in mint state, especially graded MS65 or higher by organizations like PCGS or NGC, then its value can shoot up dramatically. In fact, pristine examples with full luster and no scratches or blemishes can easily sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But what about the penny that's worth $73,000? That's where things get truly exciting. Some 1957 no mint mark wheat pennies have unique minting errors or rare die varieties that make them incredibly valuable. These errors are unintentional mistakes that occurred during the minting process. For example, there are 1957 pennies known to have double die obverse errors. This means the design was struck twice on the same coin, creating a visible doubling of the text or image. The most noticeable doubling can often be seen on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date, 1957. These doubling errors are extremely rare, and depending on their sharpness and visibility, they can fetch thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. Another highly valuable version of the 1957 penny comes from off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't properly aligned during the minting process. Some of these off-center 1957 pennies can be worth anywhere between $500 and $5,000 depending on how far off the strike is and how much of the design remains visible. There's also the broad strike error, where the coin was struck without the collar that normally shapes the edge. This results in a larger, flatter coin with no rim. Collectors love these types of errors because they show clear evidence of minting mistakes that shouldn't have happened. Another category of errors that can make your 1957 penny valuable is the repunched mint mark, but since the Philadelphia Mint coins have no mint mark, this doesn't apply to them directly. However, even within the no mint mark series, there are die cracks, die chips, and lamination errors that can significantly increase the coin's desirability and price. A lamination error happens when a layer of the coin's metal peels or flakes off due to impurities during production. These are rare and visually striking, making them stand out to collectors who seek one-of-a-kind coins. The most exceptional 1957 wheat pennies, those that reach values as high as $73,000, are usually high-grade coins combined with major minting errors. For example, one record-breaking 1957 no mint mark penny sold at auction for tens of thousands of dollars because of its flawless condition and a rare double die error. The coin had brilliant red luster, crisp strike details, and absolutely no signs of wear, a combination that's incredibly hard to find after more than 6 decades. To understand why these coins are so valuable, you have to remember that most pennies in circulation get heavily worn, scratched, or tarnished over the years. Finding one that survived in perfect condition is like discovering a time capsule from 1957. The original copper shine, often described as red by grading companies, is key. pennies with a full red color can command massive premiums compared to their brown or red-brown counterparts. Now, let's take a look at the composition of the 1957 wheat penny. These coins are made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams each. Because of their high copper content, they have a distinct reddish tone when new, which darkens over time as the copper oxidizes. In terms of design details, Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse remains a timeless symbol of American history. On the reverse, the wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America create a simple yet beautiful design that's been admired by generations of collectors. So, how can you tell if your 1957 penny is valuable? First, look for the no mint mark just below the date. If there's a D, it means it was made in Denver and it's a different variety. If there's no letter, that's your Philadelphia Mint coin. Next, examine the coin under good lighting. Look for signs of doubling, especially on the date and lettering. You can also check for off-center strikes, missing details, or strange cracks on the surface. If your coin appears unusual, it might be worth sending it to a professional grading service for authentication and evaluation. Collectors today are constantly hunting for high-grade examples, and the demand for Lincoln wheat pennies has never been stronger. Online marketplaces, auction houses, and coin shows often feature 1957 pennies selling for anywhere between a few cents and thousands of dollars depending on their condition. But the ones in pristine condition with rare errors can easily fetch staggering amounts, and that's where the $73,000 valuation comes into play. It's also important to mention that coin grading plays a huge role in determining the exact value. Grading companies like PCGS or NGC use a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-60 is in mint state but may have noticeable marks, while an MS-65 or higher indicates a superb strike with strong luster and minimal flaws. The highest grades, like MS-68 or MS-69, are so rare that even one example can command astronomical prices at auction. Another factor that influences the value of a 1957 penny is color designation. Coins are categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. Red coins are the most valuable because they've retained their original copper color. Red-brown coins show partial toning, and brown coins have fully darkened due to age and oxidation. Even a small difference in color can make a huge difference in price. If you happen to find a 1957 penny that looks uncirculated, handle it very carefully. Never clean it with chemicals or polish it, as that can damage the surface and lower its value dramatically. Instead, store it in a protective coin holder or capsule and have it appraised by a professional. Beyond the financial value, the 1957 wheat penny represents the final years of an era. Just 1 year later, in 1958, the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat design with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, marking the end of nearly 5 decades of the beloved wheat series. This historical context adds sentimental and collectible value, especially for those who appreciate American history and craftsmanship. There's also an interesting story behind why the wheat penny design was replaced. By the late 1950s, the U.S. government wanted to update the coin's reverse design to feature the newly built Lincoln Memorial, which had become a national symbol after its dedication. This marked a new chapter in American coinage, and the 1957 penny became one of the last reminders of the original Lincoln wheat design that had been in use since 1909. For many collectors, the 1957 wheat penny serves as both a historical keepsake and a potential treasure. Some even specialize in collecting only no-mint mark coins, believing they are more historically significant because they come directly from the nation's primary mint in Philadelphia.